I love that the church, it begins with, and they were devoted. The church is about devotion. Now, when I think of the word devoted, of course, I grew up in the 80s, so I think of Grease. Do you remember, the first one, John Travolta? You guys remember that? Olivia Newton-John? Some of you are like, what are you talking about? There's that one song in Grease, I'm hopelessly devoted to you. And I always just think of Olivia Newton-John. I think she's like walking on the beach or something, and she's swooning about John Travolta, and it's a beautiful thing. But really, the idea of devotion, it really speaks of steadfastness or faithfulness, a single-minded faithfulness. When somebody is devoted to something or someone, it speaks of a single-mindedness, an absolute faithfulness. And I love that the church is about devotion. It's not necessarily about anything else other than a group of people who've been drawn together because of Jesus Christ, who are singularly devoted to God. And it's so much greater than, you think of the emotions of young love as we think about in the movie Grease. It's so much more profound than that. Because we know that they have a term called young love because young love gets old for a lot of people. It's not supposed to. But it changes over time. And devotion is something that it's an absolute commitment with all that we are. The church has always been about devotion. So if you don't get anything else from today, I pray that you walk out and you say, Lord, I want to be devoted to you. I want a single-minded faithfulness to who you are. But it says that the church was devoted. First it says it was devoted to the apostles' teaching. And that gets unpacked for us a little bit more in verse 43, which says, and awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. The apostles' teaching was simply the body of material considered authoritative because it was the message of Jesus as he shared it with those who he taught. In that day, of course, they had 11 of the 12 apostles, minus Judas, who told the stories of the things that Jesus did, the things that he did, the ways that he spoke to people. We also, pretty soon hereafter, not at this point, but soon hereafter, you have the teachings of the Apostle Paul. We, of course, have the apostles' teaching contained in the Scriptures. It's amazing that God, in all the ways he could communicate with the world, he chose to give the world the specific revelation of himself in the Scriptures. Now, I know there's a lot of discussion today about you can't rely upon the Scriptures. If you talk to somebody who's Muslim, they'll tell you the Scriptures have been corrupted. A lot of us, you gone to a liberal arts college, and of course you get the class about how you can't really believe the Bible's the Bible and all that stuff. And it's amazing if you actually do the research. If you don't just take your professor or take pop culture at its word, and you actually go back and you look at the research. If you were to actually not ask somebody in a religion department, but you would ask somebody in the classics department about the reliability of the Bible, they would laugh and say there's not even a question about it. Because somebody who's in a classics department understands they can look at manuscript evidence. And if you look at manuscript evidence for books of antiquity, classic works, the Bible has more, by any stretch of the imagination, than any other book of antiquity. More manuscript evidence. The next closest one is Homer's Iliad. And there's not even 30% as many manuscripts of Homer's Iliad as there is of the Bible. Yet nobody is starting campaigns to say that Homer's Iliad is not reliable. It's only the Bible. Because the only way you can disprove or try and cast doubt on the teachings of the Bible is to disprove the document that we have. So go to any classics, go over to UC Berkeley, go to the classics department and say, can we talk about the potential liability of the Scriptures in regards to manuscript evidence? They'll say, there's really no discussion. With all that manuscript evidence, old manuscript evidence from different camps, it's a very reliable document. That's a great hope. Now, yeah, there's some verses that are in some and aren't in some. You take those verses out, you have no issue with any traditional Orthodox standing on any doctrine. There's not one verse that's in it that you take it out, we can't believe in this thing. No, it's so packed. So we have the Apostles' doctrine. And we, like the early church, need to be devoted to the teachings of the Bible.